Cast-in-place piles are used as a deep foundation technique. They are installed in holes drilled into the ground with a bucket or auger, depending on the typology of the ground to be drilled. The steel reinforcement is placed inside the excavated site, and then the concrete is poured. Depending on the type of ground, the cast-in-place piles may be of recoverable casing type or CPI-4 piles, used in conjunction with thixotropic slurry or CPI-6, and finally CPI-7 piles, bored without any type of contention system. When entering the worksite, all personnel must be kitted out with the mandatory personal protection gear: hard hats, work clothes, vest, gloves, safety shoes, and eye and ear protection. The working platform must have areas delimited for the various activities at the worksite. It must be horizontal, stable, and placed over compacted terrain, and be marked as such with the appropriate signaling elements, and have machinery and personnel crossing areas cleared of all obstacles. The hoisting elements must be periodically checked and replaced as soon as they have any operational defect. It is strictly prohibited to stand under the suspended loads or the crane's radius of action. It is also forbidden to stockpile materials at less than 2 meters from the edge of any slope or excavation site. The machine must be inspected before starting any operation to make sure all the safety elements work properly, such as the acoustic warning mechanisms, emergency stop or load limiters, and make sure that there are no tools or any other object that may fall down while the mast is being hoisted. Mechanical lifting elements will be used for assembly or any other tasks done at any height from the ground. These mechanical lifting elements must be used with the safety harness anchored to a fixed point. Climbing in and out of the cabins must be done using the ladder installed to that effect. The machine must be placed in a stable manner at the work area that will be kept as clean and neat as possible. The machine operator and the assistant must work in good coordination while positioning the equipment at the perforation site. And the machine operator will remain inside the cabin while the machine is running. All workers will keep out of the machine operating radius during this process. A perimetral protection will be installed around the pile before perforation work begins. The unloading of the excavated ground must be done at ground level to avoid material flying around. When measuring the depth of a pile, the assistant must be wearing a harness attached to a lifeline or fixed point if there is no other efficient means of protection. For piles with casing, the casing must protrude at least 90 centimeters from ground level, otherwise protection rails will be installed around it. For piles bored with slurry, care will be taken to maintain the working platform in good order. Machinery must avoid going over the hoses, cables or any other element of the installations. Access to the descenders must be provided with group protection measures that prevent falls. The bentonite bags will be neatly stacked and will not be stockpiled higher than 2 pallets. Workers must wear protective goggles, gloves and masks when pouring bentonite in the mixer. When changing the drill bits, the appropriate tools must be used as well as safety goggles. The worker must avoid directly impacting the widia at the ends. Excavated ground removal will take place only after the pile rig has moved away from the drilling point. Before hoisting the reinforcement, the crew will verify that there are no loose bars or other elements or tools that may fall down during the hoisting operations, and that the handles are well welded. All the hoisting elements must be in perfect operational form and be suitable to the size and weight of the load. No person must remain in the operating radius of the machine or the crane while the reinforcement is being lifted and reaches a vertical position. The reinforcement overlaps will be checked to verify they comply with the design standards before centering and leading them. Tasks that will be done aided by retention cables and never by the direct contact of the worker's hands. If welding units are used, both the welder and the assistant must use appropriate protection gear and have a fire extinguisher within reach. An operator will guide the concreting machine to its pouring position, paying special attention to the deployment and guiding of the pouring spout to the funnel to avoid impact and trapping risks. During the pouring operation, the operator must wear anti-splash goggles as protection against concrete grout splashes. The impulsion pumps will be fitted with all the electrical protection means necessary that will be installed by specialized personnel. The casing will be removed by the pile rig or the auxiliary crane depending on the progress of the concreting operation. This will be done by always keeping the shoe in the concrete. The assistant must not hold the pipe by its ends or insert fingers inside it. Also, the pipes must be perfectly guided to prevent them from moving and impacting the workers while they are being hoisted. When the concrete begins to set, the casing will be extracted by a hydraulic jack. To prevent the crane from falling over, it'll only be used when the recoverable casing is sufficiently removed from the concrete. Once the pile has been finished, the site must be signalled at a distance of at least 1 meter from the edge and enclosed with construction fences or with PVC protectors if it is at ground level. Do not remain under suspended loads. Use the individual protection gear properly. The machine operator and assistant must work in good coordination. Do not stand within the operating radius of the equipment while the pile is being bored and the reinforcement is inserted. Cover and fence in any open pits that present a falling risk.